Good afternoon, Facebook friends and family. I was really inspired by Pastor Rick's message this morning about forgiveness, and I wanted to share what I felt was the Lord was trying to show me. He was talking about how Jesus said 70 times 7 is the number of forgiveness, and with the house, I was going to do the video in the house, but it's too dark, and for my illustration purposes, it's probably better to do this outside, which I just remembered this paint isn't open, so let me open this real quick. So we were talking about forgiveness, and for me, some of you know my story, some don't. I was left 2 years ago in June with a gutted out home by my ex-husband. Sorry, I was in the house. Can you tell I'm all covered in dust? And I've been struggling with this gutted out house ever since. And when this all first happened and he wanted a divorce, I just started forgiveness. I knew it was the first step that I had to do to get through this tribulation in my life. And I did not know that I'd be still standing here today with a gutted out home. You would think by now things would have happened and the house would be finished, and long story short. So I'm getting married in October, and we are really praying hard that God can finish this house by September, mid-September at the latest. Now, we had drywall up and things were good to go, and then the electrical inspector said no, and the building inspector said no. We had to take all the drywall down and kind of restart from scratch. So that's where we're at in the process right now. I have a gentleman who's come and taken some of the drywall from the ceiling and the walls, and we found a couple issues that need to be taken care of. So it is what it is. But I wanted to share with you because Pastor was talking about forgiveness, and it's not about keeping count of the wrongs and the number of times that it takes to forgive. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, so 70 times 7, that's 400 and something. So if I forgave every day for the next year and a half, I should be good, right? And there's a part of me that would like to just get a tally sheet and start, okay, so I prayed today. I prayed for forgiveness today, and then when will I have arrived at forgiveness by the end of the 400 and whatever days? I'm terrible at math, so don't ask me to figure that out. But, and then Pastor talked about we keep tallies, like on an Excel spreadsheet, which you should really listen to the whole sermon, and you can see it's on my page. I shared it. It was just really good. So, but what spoke to me the most, and I'm going to read, he brought up Ephesians 4:31 and 32, but I'm going to start at 29. Actually, I'm going to start at 25. So Ephesians 25 says, "Therefore, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. Anyone who has been stealing must steal no longer, but must work, doing something useful with their hands, and that they may have something to share with those in need. Do not let unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helping for building up others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. And do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, for whom you were sealed for the day of the redemption. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, brawling, and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." So that says, if I don't forgive all of these things, God can't forgive me. So I've been on this journey of forgiveness, and it's like I forgive and I forgive and I forgive, and I get angry, and then it's like, okay, I need to forgive some more, and there's just layers and layers. I'm currently having chiropractic care done, and I don't know, you might be able to see it, but I'm bruised. They're taking this metal instrument and they're pressing in to layers and layers and layers and layers of years and years and years of built up stress and anxiety and holding in things. And I'm telling you, friends, it's painful. So if you can deal with stuff as you go along, then you don't have to go through the therapy of trying to get all of this to loosen up. I mean, I feel better now, and I've still got like 4 weeks of therapy to go. But long story short, this is a demonstration. So this vase that I have here is a representation of you or me, and it's beautiful. See, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we're all intricate in design. But just for purposes, this is what I'm using. Okay? So in order for the Lord to use us for things, we have to continually empty ourselves out. And I took that word to heart in Ephesians, where it said, get rid of all bitterness, all rage, slander, brawling, blah, blah, blah. Well, today, of all days, I was dropping my daughter off, and I was driving, minding my own business down the street, and who's driving by in the other direction and waves? My ex. And right away I got this gut feeling, and I just felt like a stab in the gut. And I'm like, why is he waving at me? And then I'm like, do your best to get along with everyone. Like, oh Lord, I can't believe you gave me a pop quiz on the day that you gave me the information. I didn't think it was fair, but it caused me to think about this stuff. So I'm going to use this as a demonstration. So here we are, we're minding our own business. We've emptied ourselves out for the Lord. There is water in here, but it's clear. Okay, so then we get a bout of, I should have highlighted this so I could see. Okay, so here's some bitterness, right? There's you see someone who wronged you, and you begin to think of all of the things that they did wrong to you, and you start dwelling on that, and then you're like, oh, should I forgive? Should I forget? Should I just move on? But the Lord says to forgive, okay? So then here comes, let's do rage is red. Rage should be red, right? Yeah, that's a better appropriate color. So then we throw some, I took the cover off this, did I not? Okay, so we'll just do it this way. We'll just put some red in there. If I get stuff on my clothes, I'm gonna be so mad. Okay, so sometimes there's lots of rage, and we don't realize that it's even there until it's brought to our attention. And then, it sits there at the bottom until it gets stirred. And then we become this ugliness, okay? We understand we haven't taken care of something. All right, bitterness, rage. Oh, okay, so anger. Well, let's make anger black, okay? Here again, it goes in. We may not process it right away. It sinks to the bottom, and then something happens, and it stirs that feeling of rage all over again. So we have bitterness, anger, and rage. Okay, so slander. How often do we bring up that person or that situation in our life over and over and over again? And it just festers, and we don't want that to fester, because then that becomes an infection, or it becomes muscle soreness and tension that hurts no matter what you do, and there's no getting away from it. So by now, my water's looking really, really, really ugly. Okay? Well, let's see, we didn't do 2 shades of blue. So let's add in disappointment and the feeling of, oh, we did that blue, didn't we? Oh, well. Let's put in disappointment and, no, that's not the blue we did. I don't know, just adding colors until this is ugly. Okay, so then we add in disappointment, and then we feel like, then we go through the process of, well, is this our fault? What did we do to deserve this? Yada, 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 yada. So as you can see, let's let life stir up the pot. We get in certain circumstances and situations, and this just turns into, it's really ugly. I know you probably can't see fully, but it's ugly. And what do? We carry this around in our vessel. This is the beauty of God, who created us to be. Now, there's no light that can get through, which means no one's seeing the light of Christ in our life. No one is seeing the benefit of knowing Christ. We're bitter, we're angry, we're a representation of what we're holding in. And I truly believe, like I said earlier, that we need to be an empty vessel for the Lord, which means we need to surrender, we need to forgive, we need to choose to think on the things that are lovely and pure and delightful, and do our best to get along with others. Now, are there people, like Rick said this morning, that you just you've tried, you've done what you could do, and it's just not a tolerable situation, and you can't be friends with those people? Now, it's not that you didn't forgive, that you didn't let go, that kind of stuff, and that you don't love them with the love of Christ, but they don't need to be an active party in your life. And I feel that's the way it is with my exes. I mean, maybe someday God will get me to a place where I can have friendships and whatever, but I don't speak ill of them. I'm cordial, but I don't want to be in the same room with them. They've hurt me too bad. There's layers and layers and layers and layers of pain and destruction and hurt, and now I'm dealing with that. So what can we do? I'm going to do this because I just decided I don't want to put this all on my grass. So in order for us to become vessels that can be seen and used by God, and vessels that are not in daily pain or agony or distress, to be vessels that can clearly see the work of life, or the work of the Lord in our life, we have to empty this. So how do we do that? Forgiveness, letting go, surrender, knowing that God is in control and that He takes care of our every need. This house has been such a source of pain, agony, defeat. I didn't add defeat in there. You know what? Let's add a little more black, because you can ask my fiance. Defeat. Defeat is one of my things that I'm dealing with right now. I feel defeated. I feel like this house is never going to get finished. I feel like, I've been abandoned and left alone. And what do? I ask the Lord, and He says rest. That's a whole nother avenue. I'm studying. Pastor Rick told me to study rest and the laboring into rest. And it's Hebrews 4:11, but I read Hebrews 11:11, and that says about Sarah, who labored into resting into the faithfulness of the Lord. And I think maybe that's what the God of the universe wanted me to hear that day. I'm not sure, but I'm doing a study on that. I'll keep you abreast on that. But anyways, I gotta go soon. So this is the ugliness. I don't think this is gonna work out like I thought it was, because it's still gonna be a thing in here, but we'll try it. So what we need to do is we need to pray. We need to ask for forgiveness. We need to begin to forgive those people in our life and let the Lord heal us. Now, are there going to be remnants? See at the bottom? There's remnants of that anger and that bitterness and that disappointment. We need to allow God to come in here and clean this area out. And only God can do that. And the only way that can happen is if we have a working relationship with the Lord, and that we can come to the throne and ask for forgiveness. And sometimes that forgiveness has to be ourselves. I take on so much. I'm reading a book called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. One of my really good friends suggested it to me, and I looked up what shoulder pain is, and a lot of it's financial burden or taking on the burdens of other people, unforgiveness. There was a couple other things that it had to do with, and it had to do with family problems. Now, I was married for 18 years, and then I was married for 8 years, and there was a lot of keeping the peace. I'm a peacekeeper by nature, and that's what I do. And now in this new relationship that I'm in, I don't need to keep the peace. My children are adults. He's an adult. I'm an adult. I'm responsible for my responses and my reactions to situations. And I have to stay in my lane. I'm not responsible for how they react, and I don't need to keep the peace. I don't need to, mediate. If someone said something I know the other person's upset about or whatever, that's not my responsibility. That's God. And that's been such a freedom. But today, I'm giving up anger. I'm giving up disappointment. I'm giving up pain. I'm giving up all of these things. And I'm dumping them out. And now it's not perfect yet, because God's got to come in and clean some things out and heal some things. But then when He's all done, this becomes a crystal clear vase that's usable for the will of God in my life and in the lives of others. So today, even if it's really, 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 really hard, choose one person. And if it's yourself, it's yourself. But choose one person and begin to forgive. And don't keep tally. I know that I've been sitting like in a movie theater, or I've been driving down the road listening to worship music, and I'll feel like I'm supposed to forgive someone. And I know that that's the Lord. The Lord's just encouraging me, because there's freedom in forgiveness. There's freedom in letting go of all of those things. I mean, some of us have grievances from the time that we were 6 years old. I have a person in mind right now from elementary school. She started a schoolyard fight. I'm not a fighter. I'm a peacekeeper, remember? I don't like to fight. And I held a grudge against this person for years. Dude, I'm 51 years old. How old are you in 6th grade? Like 10, 12 years old? I don't know. Why did I hold that grudge all that time? I held on to the fear. I held on to the anxiety. I held on to the rejection. Dude, I gotta let all that stuff go, And I got one last thing. There was a good example. I went to work one day, and I didn't have any makeup on because I was sick. This was years ago, and a person had said that I looked like a naked mole rat. She did not mean any harm in that whatsoever. It's just what came out. But I held on to that literally for years. And I was just talking about it with my daughter a couple days ago about a situation about not going out without makeup or something like that. And then she says, what, you don't want to look like a naked mole rat? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, you don't remember? And I'm like, oh, so this is what forgiveness feels like. This is what it feels like to forgive someone fully for something that they said that they may not even know and hurt you. But I'm able to walk past that, and it's a thing of the past now. And that's where we need to come to in our forgiveness. It's a thing of the past. That it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like rejection anymore. It doesn't feel like an open, gaping wound. You just have peace. So forgiveness is freedom. Forgiveness is peace. And I just encourage you today to empty out all of those things. Just start clean. You know, some of those things are going to bubble back up, and that's okay because God's taking care of it. And we have to allow the Lord to see. There's still remnants in there. There's still, you know, as that has settled, there's still more. And that's what bothered me in the beginning when he left me, was like, okay, I forgave God. Why is this stuff coming up? Because we have old wounds and things that we've buried and pushed down and not wanted to deal with. So today I encourage you to pick a person and choose forgiveness. Like I said, if it's yourself, choose yourself. Seek the Lord, ask and you shall receive. Knock on that door until you get an answer. I'm doing that with the house, as hard as it is. I have good days and bad days. There's days where like, okay, Jesus, you do what you want. It's not my timeline, it's your timeline. And there's other days when I'm freaking out thinking, okay, I'm getting married 2 months from tomorrow, and the house is now in worse shape than it was 6 months ago. And I don't know what to do. But I serve a God who does know what to do, and he has promised to provide for me. So, y'all have a really good day. I'm going to go to the wedding venue in West Olive, and we're going to pray over the property today. I'm super excited about that. The day's getting closer. So, I have faith in our God that he can take care of your needs, and that he, if you choose the path of forgiveness, it will not only free you from the pain and agony of whatever happened to you, but it will also heal you and give you wisdom and understanding for future things that happen and kind of prepare you. Because life's not over. You know, we don't know what's tomorrow, what's in tomorrow. So be blessed. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.